Hey everybody, y'all come on in, tell me who you are, where you're from, while I drop a few items in these comment sections. Thank you guys for joining me. I appreciate you so much. Whoops, that didn't work. Bear with me for just a few minutes, you guys. We'll get started. Hey, Christy. I just sent you a message. Okay. Hey, everybody. I'm Jamie Shahan, owner and creator of Teal Lollipops Wreaths. I create beautifully handcrafted wreaths for the holidays and for all of the seasons. So today we're going to be making a Christmas wreath. Let me see if I can get this adjusted a little bit better. Another Christmas wreath. I got to get my shop full, you guys, so it's going to be Christmas for a while. And then after Christmas, we'll move on to the next holidays. All right, so this is a sign that I got from the at-home store. It says Merry Christmas. It's kind of rustic. It's made of tin. I really do like this curly Q hanger. I'm considering leaving it. I kind of like it. So just adds a little character to it. So I'm probably going to leave that. So the ribbons that I've chosen are this 1.5 inch solid red. It's got a little bit of a shimmer on the edges. I've got this Christmas tree ribbon. It also has some gold edges, shimmering gold edges. Then I've got this Christmas tree ribbon, 1.5 inch. We're going to see if it goes well together. 2 Christmas trees, you know, we'll see. And then we've got this plaid, Christmas color plaid ribbon. So the technique that we're going to be using today is called curl and loop. And so to do a curl and loop method, what you do is you take your 21 inch mesh and you cut them in 14-inch strips, sometimes wider, sometimes shorter. Ooh, that's 12. I wonder if I cut all of these at 12. We'll see. Yeah, I cut them all at 12. So you take 12-inch, 21-inch mesh and cut them 12 inches wide. I meant to cut them 14, but they seem to be looking, they look good. So we'll carry on with 12-inch. And so this method is really good for when you get down to the very end of your 21-inch roll and there's always some left. You can take those pieces because, as you can see, this is already curled up pretty well. But you take your 21-inch mesh and you roll it. And this is already rolled, but I'm just kind of showing you. It's rolled because it was the very last piece on the roll. So you just roll it long ways till you've got your roll like this. And then about a hand's width length here is where you're going to attach it at your pipe cleaner. And what I do is I give it a little twist and it kind of twists down on itself. And so you've got a little edge, you've got a little curly thing at the end, and then you attach that right there on your pipe cleaner. And then you go to the other edge and another hand width and twist it. And then that goes on the next tie. And then what you do is you kind of fluff this up a little bit. Just put your fingers in there and pull it apart. Just like that. So the next one, if it weren't so tight already, I would roll it, hands width, give it a little twist. Now we're going to go in the same tie that has where you ended the last one. So you're going to have 2 ends on each tie. Go to the end, hand width, twist it down. Fluff it out. Now sometimes you don't have to do all this fluffing. I've seen some roll them pretty loose and it just kind of fluffs itself. But this end is pretty tight, so I'm going to fluff it out a little bit. So here's one that's not so tight, and I'll have to roll it a little bit. So just start loosely rolling it. Doesn't have to be anything precise or tight. This is burlap, yes. Is it rough on my hands? Nah. It's not really that kind of burlap. Now the edges of all mesh, this edge here of all mesh can be rough on your hands. I'm just tightening that end down a little bit. Give it a little twist and go to the next tie. And then puff it out a little bit. I'm going to tighten this up a little bit. So I haven't made many of these wreaths, but they sure are pretty. They're really good for if you have a bunch of end pieces, as long as they're coordinating. It's a good thing to do with your leftover mesh, because at the end of your 21-inch mesh, you don't oftentimes have enough to do another wreath. So take 2 or 3 of them that are coordinating and do a curl and loop method. See, this is definitely an end piece here. I don't even have to do anything with it. Hey, Emily. How are you doing? Thank you for joining. I'm making a Christmas wreath. Just fluffing these up a little bit. You guys who are joining, tell me where you're from. Tell me your name and where you're from. Are you makers, or are you buyers, or are you just watchers? A lot of people like to just hang out and watch. And that's cool too. Doesn't bother me a bit. So this, your end pieces want to kind of fold up underneath your next poof. So pull it out, one side or the other. Just don't let it get stuck up underneath there. Almost done. So I'm kind of seeing some of the wire wreath form through here, so I may have to go through here and add something. I don't like seeing the wire wreath form. Hey, Cheryl. So this is the curl and loop method here. Basically, you take your end pieces. It's a good way to use your end pieces. These aren't all end pieces. But you take 21-inch mesh and you cut it 14-inch strips. And for some reason, I cut these in 12 inches. And that might be why I'm seeing the frame so much. But 14 inches I think is what I've cut them before, and it worked better. And then you roll them long ways, and you take about the length of your hand and crimp it down, and that is where it attaches to the ties. And that's it. That's the base. And so now we will we'll get started on the ribbon. I'm wondering if we should put some sort of, we'll just go with that. I'm thinking we probably should put some sort of accent mesh, but we'll go with this. Alright, so these are the two sets of ribbons. The red with the Christmas trees, and then the Christmas trees with the plaid. So we've got 2.5 inch ribbon and 1.5 inch ribbon. And you just lay it, lay one on top of the other, eyeball it, and find the center. Y'all, I am not on my game these last couple of days. I did not dovetail this. What is going on? I'm losing it. Let me dovetail these real quick. Golly. I knew something wasn't right. I didn't cut my mesh right. Didn't finish cutting the ribbon. So this ribbon here, I really like it. I got this at Sam's. Sam's has some good ribbon, and they have some really cheap ribbon. You got to be careful. $6.98 for this ribbon, which is a steal from Sam's. And it's not just a 10-yard roll of ribbon either. I think it's a 25-yard roll of ribbon. All right, a few more, and we're done. So this particular ribbon is pretty thin, so I'm not dovetailing that one. I intentionally didn't dovetail that one. This one was an accident. Oh, it's been a long day, y'all. Had some high school friend drama. But it's all good. Where's my trash can? There it is. Alright, back at it. So take your 2.5 inch and your 1.5 inch, lay your 1.5 on top of the 2.5, eyeball it, find the center, and then scrunch up the very center. And then take it and flip it into a V shape. And then curl it like bird's wings. And then just pick a spot, any spot, and attach. Everywhere you have a tie is where you're going to be putting your ribbon. And it is burlap, and if I sneeze, I'm sorry. It is true burlap. It is putting out little fibers all over the place. So 1.5 inch on top of your 2.5 inch. Find the center. Curl it into a V. And attach it. So I did a video last night where I made a little elf wreath. And, you know, you guys, sometimes we make mistakes. You think you got a good plan going. You get down to the very end of it, and you don't like the plan. Well, that's what happened last night. So the idea that I had was I wanted to make a wreath, and I wanted the big fat bow to be in the center of the wreath, and I wanted the big bow to represent the elf's body. And then out of the wreath, I had arms and legs and a hat sticking up out of the 2 arms at the top, 2 legs at the bottom, and a hat at the top. And because the bow blended so well with the wreath, it didn't look too good. So I'm regrouping. I'm not going to put the legs and arms. It's not going to be an elf wreath. It's just going to be a plain wreath. But it was so pretty But I'm going to do probably a few more just like that one with the big fat bow right in the center. And, uh-oh, I skipped one. But the elf wreath I'm going to redo. And I think I'm going to do just an evergreen base without any ribbon on it. And then the big fat bow in the center, and then the arms and legs coming out of the evergreen. So there needed to be, the wreath itself needed to be different from the bow. And so that's where I messed up. But you guys, that's how you learn. You think you got it all the way you wanted it. I'm messing up here. You think you got it the way you want it, and then you realize you don't. Let me fix this out here, y'all. I'm talking. Thank you, Cheryl. I love the bow, too. I love it so much. I'm going to do another wreath, probably just like that one, and I'm going to sell it as a double door wreath. Hey, Suzanne. It was a lovely bow. And the bow wasn't the issue. The bow made that wreath, that's for sure. And then when I started putting the elf on there, it just wasn't right. You know, you just look at something and you just know it's not right. Well, that was one of those situations. It just wasn't right. But it was a happy mistake because I figured out a new type of wreath that I'm going to put in my shop. And, yeah, happy mistake. So I'm really seeing the wreath form, the base, through this because I didn't cut this mesh right. So I'm going to have to go back through there and fix it somehow. And I'm thinking what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to probably go to the underside and add some more mesh in here. Or I'm just going to come through here and I'm just going to add a layer right there of some more curl and loop. That's probably what I'll do. I'll add a third layer of curl and loop. Oh, awesome. No crafting experience and they loved it. Well, that's good. I don't know if that's good or bad, Suzanne. It's funny. Oh, shoot. All right, one more on the bottom. It was pretty. It was a really, really pretty wreath. It's probably one of my favorites. Even though it didn't turn out like I had planned, it's one of my favorites. All right, we're going to jump up to the top. Okay, it's good. Okay. All right, let's see. We'll start right here. So as I'm attaching, you attach everywhere you have a tie. I always pull the tails of my loops, of my ribbons rather, toward the outside. And then let's say, for instance, I've got my sign and everything, and I've got a big gaping hole right here that I need, or it just doesn't look right. Something needs to be right here. You can always take your ribbon after you get your wreath put together. You can always take your ribbon and reposition it. It doesn't have to stay like this. If after it's all said and done, if you need to change your positions of your ribbon, you just have to move your ribbon around. It doesn't have to stay like that. That's pretty. And if you have areas that you need to cover, that works. But I always start out with it like this. This is kind of a rustic look, obviously, with the burlap. But the sign lends itself to rustic because it's metal. And it just has a rustic Christmas feel to it. They thought it was fabulous. Well, that's great. Did they like the elf, or did they just like the wreath? Because I love the wreath. I just didn't think the elves were a good fit for it. So since I've already got my ribbon on the ties, it's unlikely that I'm going to be able to go through there and add another layer of the burlap without taking the ribbon. I'm not going to be able to use those ties, is what I'm saying. So I'll probably take some beige chenille ties, chenille stems or pipe cleaners, and attach that extra burlap that I think I'm going to need to the frame. There is nothing that says that you can't take a piece of something, even if it's a piece of ribbon. You can attach a lone piece of ribbon or a lone, bit of mesh anywhere you need it. All right, I've got my wire sticking out here. I'm gonna see if I can poke it back in. A lot of times when your wire comes out like that, you can't always get that back in. But we're gonna try. Sometimes it ends up coming outside of the ribbon. All right, so we're just gonna cut it. Can't get it. And I've got a teeny little hook on the end there that is trying to grab, so I'm cutting it off. Well, good. Okay. I'm glad they liked it. Tell them to come on back. Come on back and listen to the girl from Arkansas. Oh man, I did a video the other day. I must have been super tired or something, because by the end of that video, my southern drawl was coming out hot and heavy. It was so thick. And I don't have that bad of a southern drawl, but man, I guess when I'm tired, I do. It was coming out. Hey, Elaine. So, Elaine, we're doing a curl and loop method. And I can show you what a curl and loop method is real quick if you don't know. Tell me if you do. If you don't. Oh, I do? I do have a thick accent. Here, I thought I was doing so good. Well, I work in a hospital, and we get people from all over the world, actually, in this particular hospital that I work in. And all over the United States and all over the world. And I've had several people say, "Where are you from?" And I said, "Well, I'm from right here. I've lived here all my life." And they were like, "Well, you don't sound like you're from Arkansas." So I guess it's good to know. Okay, so you do know curl and loop. Okay, well that's what we did here. And I have mistakenly cut my mesh. I think it might have been a little too narrow, and so it's not quite covering all of the base. So I'll probably go through there and add some little pieces of the burlap mesh to the frame just to make sure that I get good coverage. So there's that. So now let's make a bow. That's pretty cute. I like where it's headed. So as usual, I use my Bodabra. We just say eh. You just say a lot? Is that what that says? Alright, so I'm going to make probably 14-inch tails because I don't know exactly where I'm going to put my bow. And if I choose to put it at the bottom, I like long tails. So I'm going to put my Bodabra center point at the 10-inch mark. And then I'm going to bring it out to the 15 over here. I want 5-inch loops. So that's 5. And I'm going to do the same thing on this other side. This is single-sided ribbon, so I have to twist it every time. This particular ribbon has a funky wave to the wired edge. It's not a bad thing, it's just different. Has a little bit of a wave to it. Let's see, I think I'll do 2 more. So I took the little elves out of that wreath last night, and y'all, wouldn't you know it, my little puppy, she got a hold of one of the arms, so I'm going to have to go back to At Home to see if they have any more of the elf arms, so that I can use that elf in a different wreath. I just wanted to whip her sweet little booty. But, you know, she's a puppy. Oh, boy. Here comes my big dog. No. Get off that. I've got a big dog. His name is Jack. And he sticks to me like Velcro. He is a woman-loving dog. He's a little bit afraid of men. So... Okay, so I've got Christmas trees here, and I want to keep them going upright. So I'm going to cut a little piece off here. I'm going to go ahead and dovetail it. Now the loops, I'm not going to worry so much about. Ooh. Oh my God, got a little heavy-handed with the length there on that one. Go ahead and dovetail both ends. Yeah. One more. So my Christmas trees are upright on the tails. Oop, let's cut this too. Go ahead and dovetail the piece that you're going to have in the gathering, the knot area, so that when, at least if people see it, it looks like it's finished. Alright, so now, let's make the loops. Single-sided ribbon, so it has to be twisted. Going to pull the twist out of this ribbon. Maybe it'll make it easier. I'm just going to match the loops underneath it so I don't have to measure. You have one of those kind of dogs? Well, this dog was adopted. When my father-in-law passed away, we inherited. I guess he's inherited. And so we inherited this dog, and we've had him. I don't know how in the heck he was ever my father-in-law's dog, but he was. My father-in-law used to sit in his recliner with his fly swatter in his hand, and he would threaten the dog with the fly swatter. He wouldn't ever really hit him with it, but the dog learned that he didn't like that fly swatter. And so now, to this day, if he sees a fly swatter, you could just show it to him, and he starts to straighten up and act right. It's kind of sad and funny all at the same time. But he's a good dog. He loves his mama, that's for sure. Alright, so there's that. So I think we'll do the red next, and then we'll have the pretty Christmas tree ribbon as the last one. And this is double-sided ribbon, so I don't have to twist it. I'll do it just a little bit shorter than the one below it, because that's just the way I like to do it. You can do them all 5 inches if you want. I like to sort of do a layering effect. And so if I do the ribbon above it a little bit shorter than the one below it, then you can see it. I think you can see it better. That's what I attempt to do. Doesn't always work out as well as I would hope. Yeah, that's kind of what I do, Suzanne. Just show it to him and he behaves. My dog is a talker, and he's got the loudest bark I've ever heard in my life. And when he gets excited, he really starts barking loud. And I mean, I hate to, show him the fly swatter just because he's excited, but he's so stinking loud, it's unbelievable. All right, so I got Christmas trees again here, so we're going to have to do the same thing with this one as we did with the other one. I am going to go ahead and dovetail this end that's inside the knot, just so that it looks like a more finished edge, if anybody happens to see it. But this end down here, I am not going to dovetail. Just don't want to stay. Get in there. All right, now let's do some loops. Single-sided, so I'm going to have to twist it. Probably going to do this one just a little bit even shorter still than the red below it. This ribbon is a little bit difficult to work with because it is so thin. So, lesson learned from Sam's ribbon. I will probably, the first time I went and bought Sam's ribbon, they didn't have pieces out, swatches out for you to feel and look at. But I should have known. I should have pulled a little bit of it out and looked at it, but I didn't. But anything thin like this, I won't buy again, for sure. Alright, so there is our bow. Let's see if we can get it out of this thing in one piece. So lift up from the bottom. Slide your zip tie in there. I'm going to turn it sideways so I can handle it. Pull your zip tie up and start to pull your bow up. And as you are pulling your zip tie up, you are pulling your bow up and you are tightening it. Just slide it in there. Don't tighten it down all the way, but tighten it enough to where when you pull it out, it doesn't, you want it to maintain this line here. You don't want it to spread out. So now hold your loops and pull your tails to the bottom. But now remember, these pieces are separate, so don't pull too hard just yet. So now let's make these loops even. I'm going to pull this just a little bit tighter because it's trying to twist. The stack is trying to twist. Let me go ahead and twist this to the back. All right, now I'm going to make these loops even. And I do that by sliding my fingers inside these loops. I can get them in there. And then just pull. If there's one that is looser than the other, then you will pull it out. Now these back pieces, you can tighten them up by pulling the tail. All right, let's go to the next one. It's trying to twist on me, so let me see if I can get it back in line. That one's good. That one's good. Now these are pieces, so I'm not going to pull very much on these. Okay. So now before I tighten that down, I'm going to slide a zip tie underneath there so that we can attach it to the wreath with the zip tie. So I'm just going to push down on it, give myself a little bit of space because I had to tighten it up quite a bit to work with it. Okay. All right, now I'm going to tighten it down all the way. All right, so let's fluff it out. So I've got 6 of this bottom ribbon. So I want them fanned out 3 and 3. Okay. So just kind of fan them out, get them into the position, and then fluff out the loops. And then go to the next layer. Put your fingers inside your loops and just give them a good little twist. Be careful with these so that you don't pull them out. Okay. All right, so see, there's not much you can do about this little piece that's inside the knot. Just to give it a little dovetail and try to make it as pretty as you can. It'll just be a part of the bow. All right, and there's our bow. All right, let's get our sign. Here is our sign. And let's get our wreath. All All right, so our sign will probably go at the top because that's kind of my style. And the bow will go at the bottom. Now we could do kind of a instead of it being like this, we could have it like this. Let me see. All right, I kind of like it at an angle. I like it like that. All right, so we'll go ahead and I hope I brought my wire. So to attach this, I am going to be cutting a hole, punching a hole in this tin with this little contraption here. This is called a beadsmith tool. It's just a little hole punch is all it is. And since I'm going to kind of go at an angle. Now look, what I was telling y'all earlier about if you had something, some place that you needed to cover, this is going to be a bare area, and I'm going to come back in and fill it in. So, but I could take my ribbon and just move it around here to help cover up some of that. So anyway, we're going to take a beadsmith tool and we're going to put a hole in this. And I'm going to need a hole probably about right here and somewhere underneath there. It makes quick work of it. And somewhere about right here. I might need somewhere over here. I think I'm going to need four places. So there's one. There's two. There we go. So now we're just going to take a pipe cleaner and run it through the little holes that you made. And just give it a good twist. Have you ever made a bow with poly mesh? My daughter-in-law wants a huge bow for outside. I have not, but I bet you could find it on YouTube. I've seen it. And you can use regular ribbon for outside as well. But, of course, if it's cloth ribbon, you know, it's going to... If you're in a rainy area, it's going to get wet a little bit. But there are certain areas of the country where they use regular ribbon and they don't have any trouble with leaving their bows out on their mailboxes all winter long. Now here in Arkansas, we get slushy sleet and rain, and so that would never work for us. So I'll have to look into that. You guys, if you have a business and you have a Etsy shop, or if you have a web address, you guys can post it here and let anybody who sees it, if they want to go and take a look at your place, at your wares, at your location, they can. So if y'all have a shop, y'all post it here so people can see your stuff. Snow, snow, snow. So yeah, I can see how the snow would pile up on it a little bit, but otherwise, if it's dry snow, you know, it's going to pile up on mesh as well. But if it's dry snow, you should be able to use regular ribbon. It's when it gets wet that's no bueno. All right, so I'm just loosely tying this down because I know I'll probably move it. I always do. And I'm going to take some pipe cleaners and put across the back here before I attach. So I'm going to actually attach some mesh in here to fill in that bald space. So I'm going to attach some pipe cleaners here. So you just take 2 pipe cleaners, twist them together, 1, 2, 3, open it up and twist it, 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to add it about right here. I'm going to go from one side to the next, and this will be where I'm going to actually attach some mesh to cover in this bald spot here. So I like to finish off the back of my wreaths. I take a placemat and cover up all of the inner workings of my wreaths. And there we go. And so because I don't want anything showing here, I need to fill in that spot. And because I'm going to put a covering on the back, I need to fill in that spot. So I'm going to go ahead and cut a few pieces real quick. That's going to be cute. Super cute. So I'm going to do the same thing that I did originally. So I'm going to take my 21-inch burlap and I'm going to cut some pieces. And I might as well cut 12 because that's what I did before, 12 inches. So I'm going to cut a couple and we'll see how well that does it. I'll cut one more. All right, so I'm going to take it. I'm going to start rolling it. And we're going to end up with the very same thing. So I'm going to twist it here on this end. And I'm going to add a pipe cleaner. We're going to tighten it down a little bit. Now I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Now I'm going to attach these. I'll do a couple of these real quick so we can hurry up and get them attached. Just roll it. Twist it. So this is how I'm going to also add to the center of the upper and lower wreath form wires where I thought that it looked a little bare. This is also what I'm going to do to attach there. So we're going to flip this over. We're just going to start on the back side. and just attach it to this pipe cleaner that we laid out there. So you're going to have some curls and you're going to have some loops. And I'm going to open that up just a little bit. And we're going to do the next one. All right. Now let's flip it back over and see how it fills that in nicely. And so now we just have to attach our bow. And I want that slanted like that. And I'm going to attach the bow right here. So I'm just going to reach under here, find my wire, give it a loose twist in case I want to move it later. Fluff it back up. Yeah, I like the long tails. I'll leave those as long as they are. I'm not going to cut those off any. And then I will probably add embellishments that I have. I have some berries. Kind of goes with everything with this theme. So I'll probably just add a few berries in here. I don't know where. Somewhere. Probably have to cut these. Yeah. I'll have to cut those. I'll hot glue a few of these berries in here. You've never seen what, Suzanne? The flipping it over and adding stuff to the back? Yeah. I do that all the time. All the time. All right, that's pretty much it, you guys. That's it for tonight. That turned out super cute. It's rustic. Yep, okay, yeah. Turn it over on the back. I do that all the time. I like the center of my wreath to be filled in. And the reason I like for it to be filled in is because I want to put a placemat on the back of my wreath and finish it off. And to do that, I don't want to be able to see the placemat through the front of the wreath. And so I need to fill it in. So just run a chenille stem, tie 2 chenille stems together, run it from side to side, and then attach your mesh. And it looks like it was always supposed to be there. So, just to do a little recap, we had a 15-inch elevated work wreath form, and we did the curl and loop method on with the burlap 21-inch mesh. And then we had the 2 sets of ribbon, 2.5 inch and 1.5 inch, both cut to 12 inches in length and dovetailed. The burlap, I actually cut it to 12 inches and I should have cut it to 14. I usually cut it to 14. I don't know where my mind was. I was in a hurry and didn't get off the phone with my girlfriends until about 6:15, so I was in a hurry. And anyway, cut that to 14 inches and get you a cute little sign and make you a pretty little bow. And that's it. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I am Jamie Shahan of Teal Lollipops Wreaths. You guys check out my YouTube channel. Did I list that here? I don't think I did. I'll list it here. go over there and give me a thumbs up. And everything that I do here, I'm going to be downloading there, as well as some tutorials. I will be doing some tutorials on YouTube that I don't do on Facebook. So y'all check some of those out. They're not there yet, but they will be. Thank you so much, you guys, and we will see you in the next video. Appreciate you. Bye.